Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Sports Talk with Broads. We are broadcasting live from the Manscaped Man Cave. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BROD at manscaped.com. I don't know how to feel right now. I'm not pissed. I'm not happy. I'm not pissed. I guess I just knew that this team was undermanned. I knew that they were not healthy, and I've seen them through 4 weeks prior to this game, and they haven't been that good of a football team. Now, I was cautiously optimistic because, well, I saw them play in San Francisco. I saw them win, and I was hoping and praying that that would translate into a really solid performance against the Steelers. And while it was on the offensive side of the football, it was an embarrassment on the defensive side, and that is where the Eagles fell short. Now, I'm not an anti-Jim Schwartz guy. In this game, though, he was part of the problem. You can't deny that. I do believe that people take it overboard and they say that Jim Schwartz blows. Jim Schwartz needs to be fired today. Jim Schwartz doesn't know what he's doing. He had a bad game. I'm not saying Jim Schwartz is the best defensive coordinator ever. I just don't agree with the irrational statements that he doesn't have a clue about NFL football whatsoever. So if we want to target specific situations in this game, by all means, I'm here for it. Long-term NFL tenure conversations about Jim Schwartz, well, if you hate him, well, you're probably wrong with your assessment on who he is as a defensive coordinator. So, Nate Gerry should not be left on Claypool, especially after the type of game that you saw Claypool have, right? I mean, at what point late in the game on 3rd and 8 do you think it's a great time to have Nate Gerry matched up with him? It wasn't even close. The Pittsburgh Steelers were 11 for 15 on third downs. That's not winning football. Now, if I want to look at specific players, I thought there were plenty of times where they just flat out sucked and needed to be better. For example, Fletcher Cox, 3rd and 9, goes off sides late and makes it 3rd and 4. And, of course, the Steelers execute and they actually get a first down. In what universe, Fletcher Cox, is it okay for you to take that penalty? You are a veteran, you are experienced, and you are a leader. That can't happen. Crayvon LeBlanc on 3rd and short misses a tackle, and as soon as he misses that tackle, they get a first down, and then they get a huge 50-plus yard play on this reverse type play. Bang, here it goes. A lot of motion involved, and the defense falls for it instantly because they're so damn aggressive. They get fooled on those type of plays all the damn time. Avery went off sides. You can't have those type of plays. Brandon Graham, face mask. Malik Jackson early on, and they didn't even show a replay. They didn't show a replay on the Brandon Graham play either. That broadcast sucked. It absolutely was an embarrassment to NFL products, really. I mean, if the NFL watched that, I don't know how they feel pleased with that broadcast. They missed so many replays. You had no clue what the hell they were talking about. At one point, they were trying to show a play where Carson Wentz apparently had Fulgham wide open for a touchdown, but there was a big sack that saved it. But they couldn't even show the wide receiver at all. Like, in what world do we not have the camera views that we need? But in reality, that's so small and so tiny compared to what mattered, which is the product on the field. And I thought that there were so many mistakes by the defense. Now, after the game, Brandon Graham was saying that it started in practice. And if you're having those type of issues in practice and then it happens in the game, I mean, there is a disconnect here. And then you can look at Jim Schwartz and put the blame on him because that's his role. His role is to make sure, okay, if things go wrong in practice, you fix it. You make sure that it is discussed. You heavily talk about it. And then when it comes down to game day, you don't make those same issues. Well, Brandon Graham was saying, look, in this practice week, we had those same problems. Well, guess what? It wasn't fixed. And Big Ben getting the ball out so quickly, it didn't give time to the defensive line to get to him. And the only way that this defense is successful is when the defensive front gets to the quarterback. But if there's no time to do it, you then need to adjust and come up with a different game plan to help out your players and to put them in a better position to succeed. Because if you keep telling them to go after Big Ben, go after Big Ben, go after Big Ben, and Big Ben is throwing these quick throws, the ball is barely in his hands, you're not doing anything. You're flat out not doing anything. So ultimately, the defense was just horrendous. You got to look at Jim Schwartz in this specific game and then look at the personnel as well. I'm not thrilled with Jalen Mills in this one. Darius Slay, while I thought there was a brutal pass interference call, I also thought that there was one that was warranted. And here's another thing to throw about Darius Slay in there. While I like what he brings to the table, had a big tackle early, he makes plays defensively. Big Ben wasn't afraid to target him. You know, when you talk about the best corners in the league, and look, I'm not here to just bash Darius Slay. It's just an observation that I had when watching. When you talk about the best corners in the game, people are afraid to look that direction. They don't look that direction, especially when the alternative is Jalen Mills, Nate Gary, and all these other bums that are out there on the field. But he's not afraid. He'll go to Darius Slay's side. He will attack Darius Slay's side. And he continuously did that. So is that telling, and does that show you how Big Ben specifically feels about Darius Slay as a defender? He's not afraid of him, obviously. Once again, I'm not trying to destroy Darius Slay. He's the farthest thing from the issue on this football team, but it's just something to notice. It's something to recognize. He wasn't afraid. He'd go there, and he did go there. Sometimes it was good coverage and the receiver just made the play. But isn't that interesting how that works? When you have a receiver actually make a play, let's flip it around. Travis Fulgham, my God. 10 receptions, 152 yards, a touchdown. That's a playmaker. He's a guy willing to go out there battling for Carson Wentz and willing to go up and make a damn play, catch the football. All over the field. Magnificent. And it's like I want to give Howie Roseman and these front office members credit for going out and finding these wide receivers on the practice squads. Like somebody's bringing these players in. He was drafted by the Detroit Lions. He was cut. He was released. He went to Green Bay. He was released. And then the Eagles picked him up. Someone deserves credit for picking him up, for picking someone like Greg Ward up, who is a serviceable receiver who you can rely on in specific moments, right? But it's also pathetic that J.J. Arcega-Whiteside can't outperform these players, these high draft picks that you have, and these receivers that you have a ton of money into, like Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey. They can't get on the field, and you have these practice squad guys outperforming them. Like, that is an issue as well. So while you deserve credit, you also deserve a ton of bashing, because there's no way that these practice squad guys should be the ones outperforming all of your draft picks, all of your veterans, and all of the guys that you paid to be here. But I got to tip my cap because he was a dog. He was winning his battles. He cared. He was determined. Do you know who wasn't determined? Zach Ertz. Because that first play, that first interception that Carson Wentz had, miscommunication, no doubt about it, right? And I'm not giving Carson Wentz a free pass because it wasn't as if it looked like a beautiful pass to begin with. Zach Ertz got blocked illegally or legally, whatever you want to say. He had no effort there. He gave up. It didn't look like he cared at all. All right, well, I got blocked. Oh, there's the ball. Where's your fight? Where's your compete level? It's terrible. It's almost unplayable. His body language sends such a bad message to this football team. Just like I yelled at Fletcher Cox for going off sides on a 3rd and 9 late in the game, which has no excuse whatsoever. Zach Ertz, it's the same damn thing. You are a leader. You are a go-to guy. Your presence is felt. You have a voice. And throughout this season so far, you've been so damn underwhelming, and it's not so much about the defense playing you a certain way anymore. You're not trying to the level that you need to try. You're not going out there and giving every little ounce of sweat that you have, and that's where I can't accept it. If you go out there and you're just working your damn ass off, and it's not your day, or you lose the game, I can put my hands up and go, you battled, like you left it out there. You gave me everything you had. I can accept that. But that's not the case. It's been miserable watching Zach Ertz. I just can't comprehend it. You heard the stories about him in the front office going back and forth. Well, it's showing. And you can't allow it to show. Whether you feel disrespected or not, it's the most cliche thing in the world. But it's a business. It's a business. So you might not be here, Zach Ertz. So be it. Go out there, perform until you're not here anymore. And then you do whatever you want to do elsewhere. But when you have this jersey on, let's go. And it's odd because he is a professional. It would be different if it was a guy with a different type of character that you could see it coming. Like, oh, typical whoever. That's a hypothetical. But someone out there, you could probably expect something like this to happen to because, well, it fits their identity. This doesn't fit Zach Ertz's identity. So here he is facing some adversity, not so much physical adversity or an injury type of adversity, but adversity mentally. Because you're upset about something off the field. How does he respond to that? Well, I hate to break it to you. It's been a very poor way. And it sucks. Because he's not helping out Carson Wentz. But I thought Carson, I know this won't fit a lot of people's narrative, but Carson Wentz was strong in this game. That beautiful touchdown pass to Greg Ward. Those drives where it was third and long, third and whatever, and he was hitting Fulgham. Even though the Steelers were knocking things down on third down, the Eagles did the same. Like the Eagles were moving the football on third down. It was impressive what Carson Wentz did in this game. To be honest with you, he should have had a touchdown at the end of the half to John Hightower, and he flat out missed it. That needs to be caught. I see NFL wide receivers make plays for their quarterbacks all the time. Not even wide receivers. I'll give you an example with Jimmy Graham on Thursday Night Football with Nick Foles. Nick Foles threw a football in an area for Jimmy Graham in the back of the end zone, and what does he do? He makes a one-handed catch while shying off a defender, and it looked great. Look what Nick Foles did. Amazing throw. Hold on a second. Jimmy Graham just made an unreal one-handed catch. Oh, what's that? Players can actually make plays for you. John Hightower missed a play in the back of the end zone that needed to be caught. It would have been a touchdown, and it would have been an amazing play by Carson Wentz to extend the play. For him to move around, to get open, to sling the rock that way. And unfortunately, John Hightower just missed it. He literally just missed it. And on top of that, John Hightower, during this 2-minute drive, caught a ball down the left sideline, and he was monkeying around with it. He was playing around with it, trying to be cute. Get out of bounds. You got to recognize the clock. You got to recognize the timeouts. You need to be aware of situational football. Get out of bounds. It's crazy. It really is. You got to be more aware. Now you can look at it one of two ways. One, be aware. You're getting a moment. You're getting an opportunity, whether you're a rookie or not, whether you're getting thrown into the fire or not. Make the most of it. Be like Fulgham. Because if you get the chance, you want to be like Fulgham. How do you take that guy out of the lineup? You can't. You can't justify it. Or you go, he's young. He's a rookie. He's not ready for the moment. Are you supposed to be upset with him when he's just naturally not ready for the moment? I don't tend to lean this way because I'm watching someone like Travis Fulgham make plays all the time. I saw Greg Ward do it last year as well. And how about the play by J.J. Arcega-Whiteside during that 2-minute drill as well? He makes this insane catch, right? And he wants to celebrate. He was almost so shocked that he made the catch. He didn't know what to do with his hands, what to do with the football. He finally realized he had to start running towards the line of scrimmage, but there wasn't enough time anyway to get all the linemen up there to snap the ball and spike it. But that timeout that John Hightower forced the Eagles to use because he didn't get out of bounds, played a role. It was bad clock management later in that game, and later in the first half. And it was just super unfortunate to see it go down that way. But I think lost in the sauce will be Carson Wentz's good performance. The first interception, I put that on Zach Ertz and him, the miscommunication, but it seemed fluky to me. And the second one, that was a punt. That was just a Hail Mary that got intercepted when the time was already expiring and the game was out of reach. Early in the game, you saw Wentz and Hightower almost get a big bomb play. You knew that the Steelers were going to bring a ton of pressure, and knowing that the offensive line wasn't the best version of the Eagles' offensive line, they were going to utilize that 3-4 and bring different looks, whether it was DJ Watt or Dupree or whoever the case may be, Fitzpatrick. They're just going to give you all sorts of different guys and confuse you a bit, and you would have some shots to take based off of being so aggressive. It was so close to being hit, so close. But the beauty thing was Miles Sanders ran a 74-yard touchdown in right after that, so you can make up for that mistake. And I wouldn't even say it was really a mistake. That was one of those plays where I go, okay, it was just Hightower, missed it. Carson Wentz do it a little bit, like a timing issue of not really being together. It wasn't really anyone's fault. I didn't really fault that miss of Wentz and Hightower early with the bomb play. It was just like one of those plays where it's like, oh man, we just missed that one, but it's not like, oh, that was so egregious. Sometimes there's a bomb where a quarterback overthrows their wide receiver by 5 yards. You're like, ew, that was disgustingly horrendous. You need to be better. Or the wide receiver runs a very poor route and it's noticeable. And that one, it's just one of those ones where, like, you missed. Like, it was just like, oh, man, it was there. Not so much mad at either of those two individuals specifically. But getting to Miles Sanders, that run was epic. The problem, the run game was pretty much non-existent after that. They could not get any sort of run game going. Now you got to credit the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I questioned heading into the game. Not so much questioned, were they really good? Because obviously I knew that they have talent on the defensive side of the football. But my question was, because they faced the New York Giants, the Denver Broncos, and the Houston Texans, who had a combined one win between those three teams, were some of their numbers skewed based off of the talent they played? That's not to say they weren't good. Obviously good. Obviously they have talent and they can produce. But I just wondered how good they really were. And look, the Eagles scored 29 points. If I told you before the game the Eagles were going to score 29 points, you would have probably assumed that they would win. How about Doug Peterson being aggressive, going for it for that 2-point conversion, which they nailed, and then that set up that 57-yard field goal attempt for the actual lead. And do you want to get on Doug Peterson for not going for it on fourth down? Look, I support the field goal. 57-yarder. It wasn't a 61, 62, 60-yarder. So 57-yard field goal attempt to take the lead. I'm taking the field goal. It missed. It barely missed. It missed. I'll live and die with Doug Peterson going for a field goal. Because guess what? If he missed it and went for it on 4th and 5 or whatever it was, you know what you would have said? Or guess what? Maybe you went for a different play call on 2nd or on 3rd to set you up for a different situation on 4th. Okay, I can support that. But if they missed a 4th, you probably would have said, why didn't you give Jake Elliott a chance from a 57-yarder? I've seen him hit a 61-yarder before against the New York Giants, and that helped spark the Eagles win a Super Bowl. I can support it. It's not insane. It's not egregious to think that Jake Elliott going in to take the lead with a 57-yarder is the decision that he made. All right, so I can support Doug Peterson on that play. But yes, the run game became non-existent after, and they weren't able to run the ball. And when you're not able to run the ball, it hurts you. The thing is, the Eagles were actually making the passing game work, though, and all credit to Fulgham. That performance was stellar. I'm sitting there with my mouth just dropped to the floor the whole time, thinking this can't be real life. Who is this man? Why does this keep happening? But credit to him. He was working his ass off. Zach Ertz, take some notes. Study him. Look at the film. Look at the way that he's trying to break out of certain routes. Look at the way that he's going up against his defender. He wants it more. He wants it more than anybody else on the field. Now, there was a play where he was stopped by Hayden, and okay, Hayden made a good play. Like, it wasn't like he made every single play possible, but he was out there going up and competing for one-on-one balls. He was snatching them all over the place. That's what you need to be successful. It's not ironic that the game where there's somebody out there willing to make plays and someone who can actually execute making plays as well, Carson Wentz seems to have more rhythm, seems to have more confidence, has someone reliable, looks more comfortable, can actually look for a specific player who he knows and who he can trust, can actually do something out there, right? Like, it's not ironic. It adds together where there's someone out there on the other side of Carson Wentz. There's a playmaker. It's not ironic that when you see that, Carson Wentz seems to have a better performance. It goes hand in hand. If you had a bunch of John Hightowers out there, you're going to have a lot of mistakes. You're going to have missed touchdown passes. You're going to have poor play when it comes to clock management. That's how this works. It's a team effort. So I actually am intrigued by Carson Wentz. And if there is a moral victory to take, it's all right, Carson. All right, the 2 interceptions, that's flawed. One was a Hail Mary, and the other was him and Zach Ertz just not being on the same page, and it seemed very fluky to me. And speaking of fluky, BetQL is not fluky. I use BetQL every single week to help me cash out when watching NFL football. That's right. If you go to BetQL.com and use promo code BROADS20 at checkout, you get 20% off of your first payment. And it gives you all the analysis for each game. It gives you the data, the information, the trends, and it shows you where all the sharp money is headed for the spread, the money line, the first half, the over-under for the total. There's so much information for you to utilize to help you make an educated bet every single time you open up your sportsbook apps. So once again, promo code BROADS20 at BetQL.com. We also have a weekly NFL Pick'em pool presented by BetQL where we are giving away weekly prizes and a grand prize, a championship bracelet, courtesy of Rosnov Jewelers. All the information is down below. This team has flaws. You see that in the linebacking core once again. Nate Gurry abused. Nate Gurry should not be in play on Claypool. Claypool had an insane game. He was all over the place. He had that one touchdown taken away from him because, what did they call it? They called it a offensive pass interference. That's when Darius Slay left the game. Craig James came into the mix, and they called it an offensive pass interference. The refs were garbage all the way around. Ebron's first fumble was the right call, and that was the chance, right? That was the chance for the Eagles to say, hey, we're taking this game. We are going to win this game. We're going to go downfield and score a touchdown. If they scored a touchdown there, I truly believe that the outcome would have been different. They stalled. It wasn't their best execution. They still had a chance to take the lead with the field goal attempt, which they missed, but that's a defining moment in the game. Like, this game was there for the Eagles to take. With the circumstances the way that they were, with being on all these practice squad guys, with the offensive line, who I expected worse from. Was it a great performance by the offensive line? Absolutely not. Did I expect worse? Probably. I thought it would be a nightmare throughout times. Mailata got waxed by Dupree late. Carson Wentz was under duress at times, but I expected it to be like legitimately terrible for the offensive line. So, for my expectations being what they were, no, it wasn't the worst game ever. It was winnable, clearly. With the offense scoring that many points, clearly the offensive line put them in a position enough to score that many points and succeed. It came down to the defense. And as I was mentioning, Claypool was all over the place, but the refs, they were horrendous. So, Ebron, the one fumble was a fumble. That second one that they called an interception, why did they call that an interception? I thought he made the catch and then fumbled the ball, just like he did with the first fumble. And if that was called a fumble on the field originally, and they went back to review it, I think there was no way that they were overturning it. I'm not blaming this game on the refs by any means, because I thought both teams got screwed by them. Terrible performance by the refs, awful performance by the broadcast team. But that second fumble, or interception, or whatever you want to call it, because I don't even understand how they ruled it an interception to begin with Ebron. You saw his face afterwards. You saw his reaction. He knew he messed up. That was a fumble. He made the reception. There was enough time for it to be in his control. Fumble. But because they called it an interception, when they went back, they saw that it hit the ground, so it was what it was, and it was ruled incomplete. This is what I noticed about the offense, though. 336 yards for this offense with 25 minutes of possession, while the Pittsburgh Steelers had 367, so essentially 30 more yards with 10 more minutes of possession. The offense was fine. The offense was actually exciting at times, and I can't wait to see how they build off of this as a unit. You need to get Zach Ertz going more. And honestly, I loved Miles Sanders' explosive run, and it boggles my mind why he wasn't on the field against the 49ers late in the game when you see what kind of power he has in the run game. You still need more out of him, though, because other than that, he was somewhat quiet. Although, with the offensive line, being the offensive line, you need the big guys up front to create the gaps, to create the holes, and to not get destroyed by the opposing team's front. Lane Johnson left the game. You had Driscoll come in. There was a moment where that right side struggled. And that's why I'm stuck in this spot of, like, am I upset? Am I mad? I'm disappointed because I thought the game was in reach and it would have been a stolen game. To be fair, it's not like I thought they lost the game. No. And what I mean by that is, it was theirs and they lost it. That wasn't really the case. I thought the chance to steal it was there, but they didn't. But, am I supposed to be all pissed off about that? I don't know. You look at this team, if you're being rational when assessing who they are, they're missing something. They don't have it. They're clearly annihilated when it comes to this roster, right? They are lacking so many pieces, and there's holes, and some of their positions stink. And you can only do so much when that's the case. You need talent to consistently succeed in the NFL. And this team is lacking talent. So that's how you have to look at this. At least that's how I have to look at this. How about Jalen Hurts getting in there? Jalen Hurts had the dot to Rodgers. What a play call, right? Jalen Hurts throws the ball to Richard Rodgers for his first completion in the NFL. It's just crazy that was the play they went for. Oh, is he going to run? Oh, is he going to utilize his legs? No. He's going to throw a dot to Rodgers and get a decent pickup, a decent gain. There's still so many problems, though. I'm just looking at some of my notes here to see if I missed anything else. Hightower and J-Jaw at the end of the first half. I have a big star next to that one. Malik Jackson, and I'm just looking at some of the issues I thought. I mentioned Cravon LeBlanc, missed tackle on 3rd and short. And then for the whole defense to get abused by a big 50-plus yard play right after that, there's no way that you can excuse that. Brandon Graham's face mask, Fletcher Cox offsides, Malik Jackson and his personal foul, Avery offsides. There were some times where I looked at Mills and I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing? How do you win that way? The defense made mistakes as well as the scheme wasn't good enough because I realized real early that Big Ben was getting the ball real quick, out of his hands. And when you think about the bread and butter of what Derek Barnett and Brandon Graham and these players, their bread and butter is getting some pressure on the quarterback, rushing the quarterback, making sure he's uncomfortable. There's no time to do that. So then, as a D coordinator, what do you do differently to make sure that when he gets these quick throws off, you're putting your players in a better position to be able to execute? And I just don't think that happened. So real quickly, this episode was sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power, and with over 20 years of experience in the solar industry, they are home to your solar experts in both residential and commercial projects. They are dedicated to making sure your project is completed easily and properly by using high-quality materials and trained professionals to get the job done right. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So visit them online. Their information is down below, along with their phone number. Tomorrow, we will have the day after podcast, the morning after podcast, and I will be reacting to your phone calls. How to call into the show? Real simple. The phone number is 856-442-9805. It's the 24/7 anytime hotline. It's already getting abused by all of you, which is phenomenal. I love it. I see the voicemail box flood. As soon as the game's over, I pull up the window so I can see, and the phone numbers just keep coming in, voicemails left and right. So I can't wait to react to your reactions to the game in the podcast tomorrow morning, the morning after, when I sip my coffee and I get to reassess the game and have a couple more hours to sit on it and digest what happened. This is more of like the initial reaction right after the game. Of course, there's more information that's given, and there's just more time to really process what the hell happened for the morning after pod, so that's always fun. It's a tough feeling for me. It's a weird, awkward feeling because we're not accustomed to having an Eagles team that are so out of it. 1-3-1. And you can say, well, bros, they're not really out of it because look at the NFC East. Okay, great. Obviously, if they could win the division at, 7-8-1 or 6-9-1, would I want that if the alternative is not making it? Yes, I would. But this team isn't a real, legit playoff team, and that's why the emotions are funky, odd, different, because we have been in the mix. Even when they were 5-7, 4-6, they were in the mix. Now it's the identity is weird. So, thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.